Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to another scene set in Dessa Season 2. Tonight, we set our scene within the halls of the single but well-established Temple of Set within the city of Edessa. Ghufran, ever the little serpent and an inquisitive one at that, has heard rumors of a certain expedition, quote unquote, taking place soon, headed by one of the younger members of his clan, a man who goes by the name of Heqaib and has a very well, he would consider a very healthy habit of not telling people his clan when he introduces himself, but it's neither here nor there. He is currently attending to the halls, one of the public areas, quote, public, as only really Setites can be there, areas of the temple, just seemingly off duty, as it were. He does not appear to be indulging himself in any activity in particular. In fact, he simply appears to be people watching, also something he would consider a very healthy habit. And Ghufran, you have been looking for him.
I have. If Heqaib has been people watching, he will no doubt see Ghufran enter the room and walk towards him with a steady, with like a little bit of pace, just like.
It's not meandering. He will. He's sitting on a what is effectively a bench by the wall. It's connected to it. It's made of stone, and he kind of just leans back against the walls. He sees you, looks up.
Hello, Heqaib. This is the first time that we've met in person.
A pleasure to meet you finally. And he will rise from his rather uncomfortable looking seat to shake your hand.
Take it, shake it.
Shame we couldn't get to know each other better sooner.
Well, there's always an infinite amount of time for that.
True.
How did you
this
do?
evening? Pardon.
Well, it seems like we both asked the same question at the same time.
Then I hope you won't mind if I take the lead. I've been doing quite well, largely preparations for an upcoming expedition of mine. You wouldn't. It is surprisingly tricky sometimes to acquire the correct supplies for such an endeavor. Though I suppose mortals don't regularly go tomb raiding, so.
I can imagine. It is actually about that subject that I wish to talk about with you.
No?
I have a request. I would like to join you on one of your expeditions.
He looks not excited, but pleased. I see. This is a mild smile on his face, kind of rises as you say that. I am always welcoming to volunteers. In fact, I had also made an outreach to one of the clan of shadows. She's called Irene.
Ah. The fledgling La Sombra. Yes, yes, indeed.
It's not necessarily her I'm particularly interested in, but the knowledge she'll impart to her sire, while not necessarily something she'll be able to make sense of, will be useful in drawing her in for the upper echelons of our clan to deal with.
Interesting. A good lure. I suppose you would like to know why I'm asking you to join.
It would be appreciated, yes.
The truth be told, it's curiosity. I've heard about some of the things you come back with. Some artifacts or treasures or, well, money.
I generally...
And
Oh, sorry.
and I would like to see all of those wonders with my own two eyes.
I'm sure you would. There's a lot of profit to be made in excavating the past. Although I usually pawn off more of the trivial findings to Omar Shadid. In exchange for his assistance and being able to contact other La Sombra for such assistance, he gets to make away with a good portion of the more temporal riches, as it were, although we still take our fair share.
Our due, as it were.
Hmm.
Understandable. Yes. Well, if I'm allowed to join.
Of course, all that I would ask is to keep your wits about you. Our forefathers obviously don't leave temples unprepared in their absence.
Of course not. Is there anything I can do in terms of preparations, supplies, providing money, perhaps, if I cannot provide these things?
He thinks.
I would like to not slow things down just by being a complete beginner at this.
Mr. Shadid and myself have our own personal equipment at the ready, but you may want to... Perhaps this is a minor opportunity to grant some good faith to the dear Irene. I doubt she has prepared herself in any sufficient fashion. I hear the rumors nowadays that she's mysteriously absent a lot of the time.
Dear me.
Such a pity. Perhaps we'll be fortunate and she'll show up when we require her. But yes, we could also always use an additional caravan. We are attempting to excavate a rather large underground structure towards the east of the city.
Do we need a camel or two?
Most likely. Camping equipment, one that is sufficient enough to block out the sun if emergencies occur. Bandits aren't uncommon outside of the city. In fact, they're quite frequent, especially when there are, well, caravans full of riches returning to the city.
Do you have any mercenary contacts?
I have a couple of retainers as an armed guard, but I generally do not hire mortal help. Usually arouses suspicion if they were to enter one of our sleeping places at the wrong time. It can cause complications.
That makes sense.
Because of our own clan's connections, gangs rarely bother us. But we always come prepared.
Wisdom.
We have been attacked more than once on occasion due to the ignorant not being aware of who we are.
And let us not forget that Clan Asimite also has considerable pull in that direction. We all know what they think of us.
As do the La Sombra, they have ties to the Tolwar Sword Brothers. If you're looking for mercenary contacts, however, you'll find them there.
But if Omar is among us, would the La Sombra not attack us? No, never mind. I retract that statement. Not Clan La Sombra, it's the La Sombra after all.
Or a La Sombra. They are a very interesting mix of unified and divided.
Yes, they are.
It's...
Did you know, for example, that Celine, the sire of Irene, and the owner of the brothel, Orsini, they do not get along, to say the least. They're currently in a bit, as it were. They're both trying to buy my assistance in showing the other up.
A fascinating dichotomy you find yourself in. Do you intend to take a side?
I am currently in the middle of a power struggle between two Ancilla La Sombra. This is not a fine place to be.
No. Might be best then to simply play them off each other.
Which is exactly what I'm planning to do.
And then I have confidence you'll lift yourself in that situation without too many scratches, I hope.
Your hope is shared. There's a bit of despair in his voice, like, oh, Seth, help.
Should... Should either of these two individuals escalate and they begin more forcefully attempting to exploit you, the clan is ready to stand up for its own when necessary.
I understand, but for now it's still mere words and coin.
As of La Sombra, it rarely escalates to anything further. They're very good at poking each other with knives, but are rarely willing to thrust it in and resolve the issue.
Agreed. Any case, back to the subject matter. 2 camels, a caravan, supplies. What about blood?
Blood.
And how long will this expedition take?
No more than a few days. We sometimes have a couple of vessels on hand that are partially bound so that they don't interfere with us. Sometimes we are fortunate enough to simply have preserved blood, but it often decays in the heat. It's not very reliable. It does not remain consumable for very long, I find.
It does not, no.
The means of transportation are quite complicated and convoluted. Still preferable to taking potential breaches of the silence, but often more expensive than it's worth. And partially bound vessels usually do the job just fine. If not, even if they were to intrude, they can still serve their purpose. They just won't be around to see it afterwards. But I suppose that is the price of disobedience.
I have one servant, but I need her assistance in running my shop. I cannot provide her a sustenance in this trip. I can try to gain a new one, however.
It's quite alright. I normally coordinate with out-of-clan volunteers so that we might exploit their resources a little more fully. It's often a condition for them joining.
I see.
Mr. Shadid will be bringing a few of his own vessels, and I'll probably bring a few of my own in good faith. I doubt Irene will be able to bring any of her own, however. She seems quite young. It wouldn't surprise me if she's still being fed by her sire.
We have all been there at some point in our own lives. But yes. I will take some of the carpets in my store to block out the sunlight should it become necessary. Some of them are very thick and no light will come through to them.
It would be appreciated. I'm sure you've already thought of this, but it would be wise to cover your caravan in the same drapes.
Yes, yes, indeed.
An emergency haven is a very useful haven. However, I believe that satisfies our equipment issues. Anything else would simply be the standard that you would expect. Rope. Certain infiltration tools. Sometimes, curiously, we will need mining equipment. Depends on the integrity of the temples. Some of them have several cave-ins. I'm hoping that's not the case of this one, but it does sometimes become an issue. Otherwise, I believe we're all satisfied on the equipment front.
Excellent.
Right, so. Although I never got to ask, how is the night treating you?
I would say well. I have. I'm in the process of solidifying my hold in the merchants district. That's one of those making a sizable amount of money. I've also started to send some of my more regular customers down to, and he sort of gestures around, our safer locations for indoctrination. I'm sorry, no, he wouldn't say indoctrination.
Yeah, I was gonna say make a perception empathy check if you say indoctrination.
Yeah, that's the wrong word. I'm sorry. I just got off work. I'm still tired. Or what would be the right word? Guidance? I don't know.
Guidance, enlightenment,
Guide and like,
conversion. Indoctrination implies a negative.
yeah, true.
So really, yeah, guidance, enlightenment, which imply positives. Conversion, which is not necessarily positive, but holds religious connotations. Those would all work.
Guidance. I'll go with guidance. God damn.
Yes, I heard of the grapevine that Giora had proposed a new sect to form within our circles. I'm glad to see he's fitting in.
Myself as well.
You seem to be one of the more outgoing of our clanmates. I tend to be a little more internalized.
The way I see it, our clan has multiple sides. One of them being the front, the ones that draw attention and make sure they stand in the light of whatever it is they do, and the ones that work in the shadow and gestures to Heqaib. Those that do work unseen. Both are equally important.
Truth. So as they say, Set has many masks and many aspects.
Indeed.
Some of them are more overt than others. Like our good friends among the warrior caste. Have you met any of the Vipers yet?
I I must say I have not.
I would consider them harsh, but faithful. Few among us can rival their passion for their following. Just be cautious when you meet one. They do like to test the faith, as it were.
We all work the faith in our own ways, but ultimately it leads to one point.
That it does.
In any case, I will get the camels, the caravan, the shade, as it were. And should you need it, please let me know if you need any resources to get anything else I cannot get my hands on in time.
Of course, and if you require anything of myself, I'll be glad to offer you my assistance in the matter.
I think the thing I need most is blood, and I'm unable to bring a servant of my own to
That
provide
can
me
be
that on the
arranged
journey.
by one of our La Sombra patrons.
Wonderful.
Mr. Shadid is ever such a generous merchant.
Great. I am extremely excited for this. I thank you for this opportunity. Heqaib.
I'm glad to see you share my eagerness. If I may ask, there is one thing I would like to have
Of course.
settled before we go. Are there any underlying issues between you and this Irene or Mr. Shadid that I need to account for beforehand?
I have never met Mr. Shadid, so I do not know if he has any resentment to me. I do not bear any to him. I have worked together with Irene in the past on an investigation regarding the city's domain breaches.
You happen to have made any progress on that?
Well, would you believe me if I told you that there is a flying shimmer-ish blending in the background thing reaching domains? I
Naturally.
I do not know of any other way to describe it. I simply do not. When we stared at it, it was like staring at a chameleon changing colors to adapt itself to its surroundings. But we felt its presence. It was its weight. It was there. It could see us. It could attack us. It could hurt us. It wasn't like obfuscate where you block the perception of others. It was more like it blended into the surroundings. And there
Fascinating.
was a woman as well. Long, darker hair, um, pale skin, from
Many of those, I'm afraid.
the European descent. Or
Mm.
I shouldn't say European, I should say from Western stock. Use a bow.
Well, your progress will speak well of us. This shimmering creature. I can't help but wish to discover its secrets. A shame I'm so poorly equipped to do so.
I'm a merchant. I am not by any means well equipped to take care of domain breaches. I am, however, equipped to provide resources to those who are more physically apparent in battle.
If we could get a read on this creature, it's possible that these domain breaches could be brought to an end.
Yes,
That's just happening to take the profit of the body with us. Is anyone else after this creature? I know I'm aware it was a cross-clan investigation.
Well, the Hound Ulrich was the one who requested us to look into this. Mind you, he said to look into it, not take care of it. So I assume, after the report was made, that it is now in the sheriff's and the Hound's hands.
Heqaib seems to give us quite a lot of thought. He seems to obviously be weighing pretty intensely the benefits to the risk. I suppose it depends on how the ruling class wants to play their hand.
Well, so far there have been known new breaches of domain yet, if any are going to happen.
I see there have not. You would have been informed as a member of the investigation team.
Yeah. Should they happen again, I am sure that we will be stuck on the job once more. And he says this with this chipper voice. It's like, yes!
Yeah! Seems you drove it to ground.
Oh,
see, you're aware of where it lives.
I am?
Hasn't Grin told you? Never mind. I'll have to double check that out, JC.
I'm pretty sure I don't know where it lives, but alright.
Wait a second, I'm just gonna check the chat. I can't remember if he said it like after the scene or not, but God, what the hell
I know that JC said things that he was stalking behind it. I am not aware if he shared any of that information with us.
Did we go separate and see what the Grin has found? You're aware that Grin has sent things to track them. I'm not. You're definitely aware of that. I'm not sure if you're immediately aware of where he lives, but you'd probably be you'd To be honest, considering that Grin literally has stated to you that he sent creatures to track them, you're probably aware that he's aware.
Okay.
So I'll say that.
Alright.
Heqaib asks you if you know where it lives.
I do not. However, one of the investigative members of the team, a Nosferatu by the name of Grin, ironic, has has made an attempt at tracking it. If he was successful, then he might know where it lives. Or exists, rather.
Hmm. Nosferatu can be bargained with. This creature holds secrets that I'm certainly not aware of. But I will consult with my elders first. Perhaps you might propose this to them? Sounds like something they perhaps at least be interested in hearing.
Sounds like a good idea. I wonder why it hadn't crossed my mind before. I'm very preoccupied.
Busy men can only attend to so much at once. And we are very busy bees.
We are.
Very busy reptilian bees.
Would the High Priestess lend her ear to this? Or would you think approaching another one of our elders would be a better option?
Perhaps. The one who would perhaps be most interested in hearing you out would perhaps... Not that I can necessarily gauge the motives of my elders. They're, of course, much older and experienced in these the art of masking, much more experienced at that than myself. But if I were to hazard a guess, Melina, my grandsire.
Oh, she's your grandsire. I did not know. I had considered her as well, yes.
She's a seeker like myself, but in a different sense. This seems like it'd be more within her purview than it is mine. And she would perhaps have a better idea of what to do with the political leverage this creature accrues for us than I. If we ever want to lean on that at all, it's possible that this creature simply disappear.
Who knows?
A mystery left unsolved for the unwashed masses of midnight society.
And eventually the sands of time will take their hold.
The only loose end, of course, would be this other woman.
Yes, sadly I do not know anything about her.
Would anyone on the investigation team know more than yourself?
I'm not aware. Oh, see, I know that someone else knows more, but given the situation and what was all happening, I'm gonna say Ghufran has no clue about that whatsoever.
He kind of... It's been a while, and I'm not even sure you saw what he did, so...
I'm just gonna say no.
Well, strangers are often unwanted. She can simply be disposed of, or perhaps she can serve a purpose alongside her pet.
Perhaps. But that is an issue to tackle once we actually have more information.
Mm.
For now, I will bring this to Melina. I think your suggestion is an excellent one. I will do so as quickly as my time allows.
Then by all means, don't let me keep you, and I thank you for approaching me.
I thank you for advising me. And with this grin of la 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 that everybody in the temple knows Ghufran has.
Yeah, Haki gives you this like lopsided sly grin. It's kind of like he's very familiar with this sort of attitude. It's almost as if he does kind of a. In fact, he does like a slight, it's like slight curtsy to you.
I should note it's not at all a condescending
Oh no
stance that Ghufran has, but it is that very oh boy yes let's go kind of stance.
Yeah, this sort of kind of lackadaisical attitude. And he kind of gives you a like this lopsided grin, does a slight curtsy slash bow towards you. That implies a sort of familiarity with this sort of act. Well, he's pleased to indulge alongside you, and will leave you be. Before you go, he will simply mention that he will take his leave to perform some religious ritual that he is not engaged in this night and feels obliged to perform. And will take his leave, leaving you la da 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 all by yourself. And they're on the side eyes, they're around, they're people. Whatever. They'll indulge you.
Da-da! I think that's a good point to end the scene.
I think it is. La-di-da-di-da, goodbye.